Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for joining the e-commerce and digital marketing analytics 10th module in our e-commerce and digital marketing mentoring program for MSMEs. We started doing this program last December, and we've been running this program for 10 weeks for free, no? All with the intention of building content and at the same time reaching out to people who would like to learn more about e-commerce. So our topic for tonight is divided into three. First, we'll talk about setting up your Google Analytics for e-commerce. Afterwards, we'll do a quick view of how we can do digital marketing analytics and social media analytics. And then how can we do e-commerce tracking? So since this is only a 1 hour webinar, so we'll be focusing more on demonstrations on how to get it done. And let's get started. So our first topic is all about Google Analytics for e-commerce. So when we talk about analytics, the reason why we want to do it is that we want to check out what's happening on our site. Who are the people clicking on the content that can be found on our website? And then what happens from those clicks, whether people just read, do they follow other links, do people sign up to our newsletter, do people read more content, do they bookmark it and keep coming back for more, or do they end up purchasing something later on, or do they sign up similar to what you're doing right now, signing up for a learning session and began attending these learning sessions. And then we also want to do some experiments and testing, trying to find out what kind of headers, what kind of colors, what kind of images would work best that would result to conversion. And then we want to find out also what do people think and what they say. So that's why we usually integrate live chat, social media, encouraging our audience to interact with us and give us some insight. And lastly, all of this boils down to what we refer to as competitive intelligence that can convert to insights later on. Normally, when you see traffic coming to your website, it doesn't really mean that much. It will only start making sense the moment people start discussing why they're there, what are they trying to learn, what they're trying to figure out, and why they are visiting the website. Now, if you will compare how people used to look at analytics 10 years ago or 15 years ago compared to how people look at analytics today, I said 10 to 15 years ago because when you look at the history of e-commerce as early as 1999, year 2000, we saw the emergence of e-commerce websites already. So e-commerce has been there for quite some time. So, but when you look at how people look at e-commerce before, in the old days, what's only important is that how many people click on the website, click on the links, and then that's it. But now the clicks doesn't really mean that much anymore. We want to find out why they're there, how they got there, why are they there, no? And then we just want to find out the numbers, how many returning visitors, how many new visitors, how many click on this product, how many are using this browser, how many are using this operating system, what gadget are they using. That's all there is. But today it's not enough that you have the numbers, but you must also understand what's the story behind those numbers. If you suddenly have a surge of people below 20 years old visiting your website, there must be an explanation why they are visiting your website. And then before, when you look at e-commerce, it's only about you. I mean, you look at your website and all you care about is you. But today, you also want to find out how do you differentiate from competition? What makes you different from your competition in terms of the traffic that they're getting, the traffic that you're getting, the kind of people that they're attracting, and the kind of people you're attracting. If you believe that you have a shared audience, then additional questions that may arise is why are they attracted to you or more to them, and putting that into context, and how can you use that information to improve what you're working on. Also, in the past, when we look at analytics, we prepare the report simply to explain to our boss. But today, we have automated decision making as well, and it depends on how you're going to implement this. But usually, depending on the feedback that you're getting, especially if you started integrating these tools to advertising, testing platforms like landing page testing. Then you can also set rules in connection to the platforms that you're using. Like, for example, if you integrate your website platform to email marketing, then if someone visits something on your website, put something on the shopping cart but did not purchase right away, then it will send out an email reminding the person that they have put something on their shopping cart and reminding them to complete the purchase. That's one way. Or you can also implement remarketing technologies, whether you're using Google AdWords or Facebook. That's when a person visits your website, started looking around at the product but did not proceed in purchasing, whether they put something on the shopping cart or not. And then the moment they start browsing Facebook again, they will start seeing ads coming from your company. So it can result to, that's what we refer to, no, as one way of showing that there's automation rather than these things being manually activated or being manually decided upon. And then before, information can be discrete, but now it can be continuous, among other things. Now, what makes Google Analytics also interesting is that the way it collects data, it's no longer limited to websites. If you have a mobile application, it can also collect information from there. If you're running a kiosk application, like a computer in a public space, or maybe you have a touchpad system of a like a platform where people can also surf or can do online activities, or you can also add something in the point of sale system, especially if that is automated as well. So Google Analytics can be rolled out in many things now, or in many platforms. Now, what makes Google Analytics also interesting is that you can segment your reports. You can compare performance based on the day of the week. You can also look at time. You can also look at information on a per platform or per social media, per location, among other things. So I guess there's too much information actually, but what is important is that you don't get overwhelmed by the information that is presented to you by the platform, but focus more on how can you use this, what information will matter to you. And if an information gets presented to you, how can you use that information to make better decisions for your e-commerce platform? Now, when before rolling out analytics, or even when you roll out your analytics program, you don't just look at it and just take the numbers as is. It's important that you plan so that you will know what you want to measure, and see from there whether you are hitting your target or not. So this includes identifying what is your business objective. Are you more for awareness, or are you more focused on getting leads, or are you focused more on generating a sale? If it's more of an awareness, then maybe your intention is to make your brand known. So it's all about um, increasing mind share about your brand or about what you do. If your focus is more on generating leads, then the parameters would be more on how many people filled up the form. And if your intention is more on e-commerce, then the focus would be more of how much sales have you made in relation to the traffic that you're getting on your website. So whatever that business objective is, it has to be very clear, because from there you will be able to identify what strategies and tactics will work for you. Normally, if you are simply after awareness, then the focus is more of advertising, because the intention is to let people know that you exist and just get them to visit your website or be familiar with your brand. But if the intention is more of leads, then maybe, yeah, a little ads can help. But what will matter more is to get people to visit your website, for people to start trusting you, for people to start learning more about what you think on topics where you want to be known as an expert in. And hopefully, in the process, as they get convinced that you are indeed an expert on that topic, sooner or later they will consider filling up a form and start interacting with you. No, but if your intention is more of sales, then the strategy is more of getting people to purchase. Therefore, you want to roll out remarketing so that people will be reminded of a purchase that they need to make, or of a shopping of a visit that they made on your site, left something on the shopping cart, then they need to be reminded that, hey, you left something, you should purchase. or I'm giving you a special discount. Please come back and purchase. No? So the strategy and the tactic will be totally different. Therefore, the way you will look at your analytics will be totally different as well. So depending on the strategy and tactic in mind, then you can choose what key performance indicator will be important for you. What information do you need to gather in order for you to have a good picture as to what whether you're hitting your objectives or not, and why those parameters are important? What do they say about your customers? And then segments that you want to focus on, and targets that you also want to focus on. So these things are important. And remember, especially when you're working with people, marketing people in particular, or sales people in particular, before you roll out a campaign and start marketing and all of that, it's good to sit down and identify what goals, what objectives, what tactics, what KPIs, what segments, what targets are you trying to reach, and what are you going to monitor, so that the moment you have a printout of your analytics report, whether on an every other day basis or on a daily basis, you will use it as an input in keeping yourself apprised as to what's happening with your business. Because at the end of the day, these numbers don't lie. They're just a representation of what's really going on at your website. No? Now, it depends on, as I said earlier, what's the objective. So if your objective is all about increasing your sale, then your goal is to increase your conversion rate. So when we talk about conversion rate, it can be about, out of 100 people who visit your campaign page, like let's say you're promoting a specific product, how many of them will end up buying it from you? And and if you compute your last month's sale, let's say you got 100 orders, and each order was like, maybe you got two, let's say 100 orders, and then the total was $20,000. Then you can say that your average order will be around $200. Then your intention also is to increase the customer spend on a per order. So that is another way of looking at it. For most e-commerce websites, they focus on these two things, particularly the second one, and they use that as a guide also in beefing up the inventory, because the customer spend per order will not increase if you are not diversifying the content that is on your website, or you keep on coming up with better offers, better complementary offerings that would lead to an increase in spending on your website. Now, so the key performance indicator will be the conversion rate and average order value. You want to collect that from time to time and see how it changes. You might also want to see people searching information on your website, since most of our websites already have a search box, and you want to find out what people are looking for within your website. Or maybe the kind of traffic that you got from sites like Google, what were they looking for before they got to your website? Although some of the results are not included, meaning most of the keywords you don't really get the chance to see them. But if you will be able to identify the traffic that you got and the kind of pages that they visit, that will surely help us also in having a gauge on what are the possible keywords that were used to drive people to your website. And you also want to see some info about your product recommendations, if that's possible at all. Targets for the year, and targets for the month. No, you might also want to check on that and see whether you're hitting it or not. On another rate, or on another perspective, maybe your intention is to improve efficiencies, or to make things more efficient on your website. So it can be like, maybe you have a customer support system, or maybe currently to complete an order on your website, it would require filling up 2 pages or 3 pages, or going from a 3 page stage before a purchase can be completed. So in improving efficiencies, you'll be more focused on how you do things right now, where's the drop happening, and then look at what can you put on your website, so that immediately a person visiting the website will see the opportunity and take advantage of the opportunity. And then if If your focus also on efficiency, let's say you look at an order, if an average order will take 2 minutes to complete the purchasing process, then it's also about finding out what can you do to perhaps decrease that 2 minutes to 1 minute and 50 seconds, or 1 minute and 40 seconds, or 1 minute and 30 seconds. No? You also want to check tasks, number of tasks that can be completed. Um, Maybe the rate, well, there's a purpose of visit, no, among other things. And then you can also check out whether you are improving in this space or not. That can also include, like, for a total number of people attempting to complete a task, how many of them were able to complete it or not, no? And see whether that is attributed to if the design that you have on your website, whether it's efficient enough for people to complete a transaction. And then last but not the least, another objective that you may have on your website is to establish your brand. If you are a new website, usually this is where we want to focus on. How can we establish our brand? How can we get more visitors? How can we build uh, a continuously increased following on our website? No, so we want to check out the market share in terms of visits, and you also want to see fan base connections. You want to see the number of connections per medium, upstream and downstream traffic. If you have a store, how many of them, a physical store, how many of them came from your visitors, how many of them came from online or availed of something that you extended online. So there are many parameters. So at the end of the day, you have to customize depending on the goals that you have and what would be relevant for you. So there is another way of looking at it from Avinash Kushnik, but it's more specific now that can have targets as well. Let's say if your primary objective is to create awareness, then maybe your goal will be to reinforce your advertising. And then to see whether it's effective or not, you want to see branded traffic on your website. And then you want to see whether you can hit the target number of visits per month. You want to be able to find out how many people are coming from which source, from ads, from search, from direct visits, from social media, and then how many of them converted. Like for example, if you advertise on Facebook, and let's say your ad had a 200,000 reach. Of the 200,000 reach, how many of them, okay, sige, well, how many of them like the ad? Okay, so that's one thing. Of course, we usually count likes. But also, you want to find out of the 200,000 reach, how many of them really click on the link and went to your website and started reading. Kasi di ba yung iba, pa nakakita ng ad, they click on it, tapos pag lumabas na yung prompt ng Globe o Smart na o ng cellphone mo at sinabi na standard data charges apply, yung iba hindi na tinutuloy yung pagpunta sa website kasi nangihinayang sila or wala silang pang surfing. So, hindi na nila mapupuntahan yung website. No? If your goal is to generate leads, sabi nga natin, you can capture leads via email or through a contact form. Then you want to check out what would convert people to become a lead. Like, for example, you have a newsletter or you have a news article, then you have an offer on the bottom part of your article encouraging people to subscribe. Or maybe if you are a real estate company, then it can be about encouraging people to sign up for notification if in case you will have a tour anytime soon of the property. Now, if your goal also is to provide home buyer information and resources and capturing them as leads, then you want to check out also how many of them were downloading your ebooks, downloading your apps, among others, no? And be able to identify segments like traffic sources, what tools were they using to arrive at your website, what type of content were they checking out, what articles did they really really like, are they downloading PDF files or ebooks or zip files that you're posting on your website or infographic, and then where are they located, are they from Metro Manila, from Cebu, or other locations. Now if your intention is to highlight an event, then it's a different story again altogether. So again, when creating your implementation, so usually the counterpart for each in Google Analytics is that you have your standard dimension and metrics, and we set up that up to the page tag. You want to know your business outcome, so we set up goals in Google Analytics. You want to have clean and accurate data, so we use the filter settings in Google Analytics. Marketing channels where your visitors have come from. Then we do campaign tracking, and then if we are using Google AdWords, we can also link our AdWords account. If you want to simplify reporting and not just use the standard reports that appear in Google Analytics, you can also use customer reports and dashboards. Just remember that once data is processed, it cannot be reprocessed. So, meaning if you added a new parameter on your Google Analytics or you created a custom report, that custom report will not be retroactive. No, the report as it is current. So whatever was generated from your default setting or your last settings, that is the one that gets applied. If you started filtering, like let's say I don't want to see any traffic coming from this website, or you don't want to see any traffic that's coming from your building or your office, then that will not be retroactive. No? It will only start taking effect the moment you created that rule and save it so that it will be implemented. So usually what happens is that we create views in Google Analytics and then we check it there. And once you delete a view or you delete a report, you cannot restore that report. So walang undo feature si Google Analytics. And then all of the reports get created at the date of creation. So some things to remember when using Google Analytics. Remember that you need to enable e-commerce tracking. You also need to set the right currency, and you must make sure that you add this to your e-commerce platform. So let's look at our Google Analytics right now and have a quick look on how it works. So let's make this quick. So normally, when you look at your Google Analytics, how many of you are using Google Analytics today for your website? So how many of you are using Google Analytics? If you're using Google Analytics, can you press that raise your hand button if you are using Google Analytics? So if you're using Google Analytics, there are many things that you can check out with the report. So ito yung sinasabi kong view kanina. So usually when you set up your Google Analytics, you have a default view. Now, if you want to apply some special settings, make sure that you create a new view and not affect the old view that you have on your website, no? The default views that you have on your website. So for the sake of discussion for tonight, what I'm going to do is ask you to visit a link, and then, so ito. So can you visit this link para mapakita ko lang sa inyo kung anong mangyayari doon sa Google Analytics, no? Especially for those of you na ngayon pa lang medyo nagsisimula sa Google Analytics. So I just shared you a link, which is the e-commerce bootcamp digitalfilipino.com. So yan yung in-announce nating link recently, yung e-commerce developers course that we started offering for free. So normally when someone visits a link, like right now, meron sa inyo na-click, so nakikita siya. So ngayon meron tayong visitor na taga Davao. So if any of you will click the link again, yan, tataas ulit ang numbers niya. So we have one visitor from Bacolod, and then we have another one from Pasig. So mapapansin nyo, direct links kasi kayo eh. Kaya yan ang nangyayari sa kanya. No? So yan, may from Manila, from Pasig, and then nagkakaroon tayo ng info, no, dun sa ating visitor. So ito naman, dalawa na yung Cebu, tapos yung isang IC Bacolod. So ganyan siya, no? So saan siya nagagamit? Maganda siyang gamitin kapag halimbawang nag-announce ka ng article, no? O kaya nag-ads ka, and then gusto mo makita whether people are responding to your ad or people are checking out your website after an announcement that you've made or after you shared the link. So, dun siya pwedeng maging helpful. Yun nga lang, pag sa ads, pwedeng mabagal siya, no? Kasi depende do sa budget mo. Pero kapag useful article siya, masaya siyang panoorin. Pero tandaan nyo, kahit anong useful content ang i-announce nyo, kung wala namang kayong conversion, pwedeng limited ang ma-achieve nyo dun sa pag-share na yon. Unless talagang ang pinaka-focus mo ay brand awareness. So in this case, what I'm sharing to you right now, itong link na yan, para ang habol ko dyan is more of brand awareness. So, yan, nakikita natin ngayon yung live view. So you can check out the location, traffic sources, kung saan galing ang visitor, among others, in this scenario. However, dahil shinare ko yung link sa inyo dito sa webinar, so obviously lahat kayo ay direct visit. Now, pwede ka rin mag-check nung tinatawag na regular report, no? So, meron tayong regular report dito. So, this regular report is from Feb 20 to Feb 26. So, kung gusto ko siyang mas gawing current, pwede kong gawing Feb 27. Tapos yung report natin mag-i-start ng Feb 21. No? So, meron dito na, okay. Sige, baguhin natin siya. Gawin natin siyang Feb 20. So, noong February 20, dun ko ini-start i-announce yung link na yan. So, from February 20, nagkaroon kami ng 6,263 users for that week. Kaya medyo mataas siya. Noong second day, naging punta tayo sa active users. Kasi ang problem kasi sa session, pwedeng nagpapalik-balik siya eh. So, mas maganda pa yung users, no? So, halimbawa, ito, 4,000 active users nung second day na i-announce yung e-commerce advocate project, naging 1,300 users. And then you will also have 941 users on the third day, 300, and then 200. So medyo pababa siya, no? Although ngayon, tong araw na to, hindi pa siya tapos. Pero kung titingnan nyo talaga siya, especially for the past month, so halimbawa gawin natin siyang past month. So past month natin, start natin ng 21. Yeah, tama? 21 para maging past month siya. Ay, hindi. Kung past month, dapat 20, kasi dapat 26. Sorry. Okay, let's do that again. So, 26 to the present. Ayan, para maging past month siya, no? So, kung past month siya, makikita nyo, parang naglalaro siya, no? Mali yung ending date natin. Yung ending date natin, 26, and then ito, yan. So, mapapansin nyo, nung before in-announce yung developer's course, kasi parang wala, nandyan lang yung website na yan, kung may interesadong tumingin. So, mapapansin nyo, parang less than 100 lang siya, no? Then, nung in-announce yung e-commerce developer's course, bigla siyang pumalo. And then, dito, nagbago na yung average niya. So, I'm hoping na pag natapos na yung week, dahil tapos na yung peak period, magno-normalize na ulit yung traffic. But I hope that as the traffic normalizes also, magkakaroon na siya ng bagong figure. So yan, no, nakikita mo yung active users at mas nagkakaroon ka ng interpretation tungkol dun sa active users that you're getting on your website. Meron din tayo tinatawag na demographic data. So the demographic data gives you more information like the age bracket, male, female ba yung traffic mo. Pag nag-drill down ka pa, actually, pwede may mas marami ka pang makuhang data, no? Sige, mag-ano tayo mamaya, mag-drill down tayo. Makikita mo rin kung ano yung interest ng users mo. And then you will also be able to see ano yung location nila. So obviously, ang location nila ay from the Philippines, yung majority. And then kapag kinlik mo yung Philippines, makikita mo from what city sila, no? So meron kang Baguio, Tuguegarao, Lawag, wala na yata dyan. And then, mga snippets, no? So, pag binouse over mo yan, makakakita ka rin ng snippets. Dasmariñas, I think Quezon City yata majority, malaking chunk. Malolos, yan, San Fernando, Angeles, no? So, we're looking at the e-commerce bootcamp, no? Naga, Iloilo, yan, Cebu, then you have Cebu City, yan. So, mas marami ka pang pwedeng makuhang info. But then again, sabi ko nga sa inyo, yeah, maraming info, pero what does it really say, no? Now, other things that you can do, pwede kang maglagay ng other dimensions. So, halimbawa, kung gusto natin malaman na, okay, dyan sila galing, pero ano yung traffic source, no? So, pwede kang maglagay ng other dimension. Like, halimbawa, Quezon City, Facebook siya, and then second highest traffic, Quezon City, coming from direct traffic. Makati, direct traffic ba galing ng Facebook, no? Ito galing ng Facebook Mobile, no? So, pwedeng mas magkaroon ka ng idea tungkol doon sa traffic ng visitor. So yung secondary dimension, depende kung ano yung data na hinahanap mo, no? I'm not sure kung kaya natin makapture yung age, okay? So, pwede pala. So, yan. So, majority daw ng visitors natin, Quezon City na 25 to 34, followed by Makati na 25 to 34, and then Quezon City na 19 to 24. No? Yan. So, marami kang pwede makuhang info. But then again, as I said, kailangan malinaw yung objective natin why we're doing this para mas ma-rationalize natin yung information that we're getting. What browsers are they using? So, gaya dito, naka-Google Chrome daw sila. So, I have to take Chrome more seriously than any other platform. I can also find out whether profile ng mobile user. So for the bootcamp sites, majority of our visitors are still on desktop because it's a learning platform. So I guess that's usual. Then followed by mobile, and then if I want to see their devices for purposes of testing, so meron dito na not set, no? Pero yung nakaset, Apple, and then iPad. Apple, Apple, Apple. So, ibig sabihin, karamihan ng mga nag-review ng website ko, naka-Apple. Alright? So, kaya minsan, kahit na ayaw mo mag-Apple na, gusto mong gumamit ng iba, pero pa nakita mong majority ng visitor mo naka-Apple, you have to be sensitive to that, no? Kasi naka-Apple sila, no? So, ibig sabihin, mag-effort ka na siguraduhin mo mag-work na maayos doon yung site mo. Then, you can also see the source of traffic, and then you can narrow this down further kung saan sila galing, no? And then you can also put a secondary dimension to it depending on what you are searching. You can also see behavior, like ano yung articles na binabasa nila. So dahil we're promoting the e-commerce bootcamp, it is expected na yung bootcamp na yung e-commerce developers course ang mataas ang traffic for the week, followed by lesson 1. Tumaas lang yung traffic ni lesson 1 kasi marami nagtatry mag-register sa website kaya di naman nila kailangan mag-register. So I had to provide the link to lesson 1 kaya tumaas din siya. Pero yung nga lang, of course, ang magiging critical sa akin dito, kamusta yung drop? From lesson 1, ilan na nagpo-proceed to lesson 2, to lesson 3, to lesson 4. So part din yun ang concern ko. Kung mababa yung nagpo-proceed to lesson 2, lesson 3, then ibig sabihin, kailangan i-remind pa yung tao na merong course. It's not enough na sabihin lang na, hey, I have a free course and that's it. Kailangan nandun yung reminder para mag-follow through. Other things that you can also check would be your content, the speed of your website, among other information. So lahat ng yan, nakikita mo yan sa Google Analytics. Maganda kung apart from the live chat, gumagamit ka rin ng apart from analytics, of course, gumamit ka rin ng mga live chat platform para kung merong magtatanong dyan, may gusto makipag-interact sa'yo, makikita mo kagad siya. So gaya ngayon, dalawa nakikita natin, no? So itong isa ay nasa Jeddah. And then the other visitor is in Makati. So it will show you the number of people who are there on your website. Now, if a person opened the browser and kept it open and not do anything, sooner or later, wala na siya dito. So ang nakikita lang ni Google dito ay yung tinatawag nating active visitor. Now, when setting up your analytics, make sure maayos yung ating mga settings, no, dun sa ating account. Okay, so puntahan natin yung ating admin settings for the account. So, napapansin nyo, meron akong account in Digital Filipino. Now, under Digital Filipino, you can have many websites. So, ibig sabihin, pwede kang magkaroon ng several websites, several accounts, and under each account, meron kang several properties. So, normal yon. So, maganda siya para kung may project kang sarili, then lahat ng mga websites mo naka-under doon sa project mo. And then siguro kung may client ka, may minomonitor kang ibang website, ilagay mo sila sa ibang account para hiwalay yung tracking mo sa kanila. So usually kapag nagsiset up tayo ng Google Analytics, we set up yung settings ng property. Usually we also connect it to the search console. So siguro pili tayo ng ibang website. Sino ba? Si Digital Filipino. Si e-commerce advocate na lang. E-commerce advocate. Yan. So, nakaano yung property settings. Enable mo yung demographics and interest reports. Pwede mo ring i-connect ang iyong search console. Then usually, nandito yung tracking code. So, yung tracking code, yan yung nilalagay natin sa website natin. And then, pwede rin natin i-link yung ating AdWords, AdSense, and all other related products. No? So, other things that we do, yung sa all website data, we also view yung mga settings natin. Kasama dyan yung pag-configure natin ng currency, lalo na kung nagmo-monitor ka ng sales. So, kailangan iset mo siya to Philippine peso. Kapag sinet mo yan to dollar, then ang report mo will appear in dollar kung may e-commerce setting siya. Pero pag hindi siya match dun sa platform mo, baka medyo magkagulo-gulo yung report mo. And again, anything that you set up, hindi siya retroactive. On the day na iset up mo lang siya, dun siya magte-take effect, no? And then, kung may goals ka, you can also set up your goals. So, ano yung goal na gusto mo? Like, halimbawa, may gusto ka i-hit na target, no? So, do you want people to register online, create an account, no? Refer a friend, download something, no? So, pwede ka mag-set kung ano yung gusto mo. O kaya, gawa ka ng custom goal mo. And then, yung e-commerce settings natin, no? So, pwede mong i-enable si e-commerce. Ay, ano nangyari? Ba't naka-off siya? Supposedly, naka-on siya. I think I did something. Okay. I'm not so sure but ano nangyari, no? Pero supposedly naka-on yan eh. Kaya hindi ko alam kung bakit na-off siya. Maybe I did something before kaya siya na-off. Alright. So, sineset up natin yan para mamaya do sa latter exercise natin, may mga mako-configure tayo, no? Okay. So normally kung meron tayong e-commerce website, usually gumagamit tayo ng WooCommerce kung nakagamit tayo ng WordPress, kung gumagamit tayo ng WordPress. And then may mga plug-in siya, no? So apart from WordPress, if you want to do enhanced e-commerce tracking, ang kailangan mong gamitin ay mag-access ka ng plug-in, which is the Enhanced E-commerce Google Analytics. Ina-add mo yan sa plugins mo. And then, kung ano yung analytics ID ng website mo, ina-add mo siya dyan. Para yung e-commerce activity ng site mo, pwede nga ma-monitor. Alright? So, dyan muna tayo. And then, babalikan natin siya later pag ginawa natin yung ating next part of our exercise. And of course, your Google Analytics app, the application also has a mobile app that you can download. So you can also download Google Analytics on your mobile device. And through the mobile device, para kung on the road ka, ayaw mong tumingin sa Facebook, pwedeng tingnan mo na lang yung Google Analytics mo o ilang tao na sa website mo. Para kung mababa, pwede mo tawagan yung marketing mo. Sabihin mo sa kanya, oy, bakit ganun? Nasa labas ako ngayon, ang traffic lang ng website natin, 5 lang, 10 lang. Anong ginagawa mo dyan? Nagma-marketing ka ba? No? So, pwede ka mag-remind kung meron kailangan pang carry out ng extra effort to do marketing. Okay, so before we continue with our next topic, do we have any questions at this point? If you have questions, you can type your questions using the questions box, or you can press the raise your hand button and I will unmute your microphone so you can ask your questions. Are we okay so far? All right, it seems we're okay so far. So very quickly, next item to discuss is your digital marketing campaign tracking. So normally, when we do digital marketing campaign tracking, especially when it gets tied into social media, marami tayong tinitingnan na aspect. So siguro dito muna tayo and then babalik ako sa pupuntahan ko rin yung ads, no? At saka pupuntahan ko rin si Google AdWords very briefly, no? So, usually, we want to find out kung ano na ba yung, lumalaki ba yung audience natin, no? Um, lumalaki ba yung audience size, ano yung profile ng audience natin, nasaan sila in majority. We also want to find out how our content is performing, how others are doing in comparison to us. And then, is the community responsive to what we are giving them or what we are offering them? And then, are they positive, negative, or neutral about our content? Are we generating traffic? And then, tumataas din ba yung ating reach or engagement? So siguro, naalala nyo kanina, nung pinakita ko yung performance sa Google Analytics, meron tayong isang article na parang sumipa yung traffic niya, di ba? Meron tayong isang nakita na pumalo siya ng 4,000 in one day. So, kung titingnan mo yon, actually dito siya unang pinromote. So, I think dito siya nagsimulang mag-kick in, no? So, hold on. Ito yon. So, last February 19, pinromote yung content. And then, mapapansin nyo, nagkaroon siya ng 674 shares. So, I think yung 674 shares na yan, na nagsimula nung midnight, nag-crossover siya the next day, o nag-carry over siya sa next day. And as a result, yun. Kaya ang daming pumunta sa website. I think that evening, nung minomonitor ko yung real time, parang umaabot siya ng mga 70 concurrent visitors dun sa e-commerce developers page o developers course, and then people trying to learn it or trying to find out what it is all about, no? So, kaya tapos yung mga subsequent, of course, umiikot na siya, so napopromote pa siya sa ibang mga pages. So, kahit paano natutuloy-tuloy pa yung promotion niya. So, I'm hoping kung kung tuloy-tuloy lang yung pagpopromote at lalo na kung tuloy-tuloy din yung paglalabas ng content, so hopefully mas maano pa siya, mas maging sustained yung traffic niya na to the point na pwedeng later on di na siya bababa ng 100 to 200 per day. Kasi si digitalfilipino.com, ang mga traffic niya per day, it varies from 300 to 500 per day. Si bootcamps, yung influencer bootcamp, digital influencer bootcamp, konti lang traffic niyan kasi parang mga ano lang siya mga videos, saka mga PowerPoint. Pero I'm hoping na as more people get to know about the tutorial content that we have on the website, pwedeng mas tumaas pa siya. So this is one way of looking at it, no, kung paano siya nag-increase. O saan nanggaling yung increase na yon. At karamihan doon sa mga tumingin na yon, mga work from home, nag-explore ng can they learn development, how easy or difficult it is, and can it lead to jobs. So when looking at your social media reports, there are many things to consider, and usually you want to know what matters, no? Ano ba talaga ang pinaka-importante sa lahat ng mga reports na yan? Of course, nandun yung kailangan ma-satisfy yung basic three parameters. So, andun yung do people search for you? Do people talk about you? And then do people share you? So, kailangan siguro ma-achieve mo yun. Kung hindi pwede yung do people like you lang. Kailangan talaga, parang pinakamalaking parameter lagi is when people start sharing your content and started engaging with you through your content and start tagging other people about your content. Doon mo masasabi na nakahit ka na, mukha na tsambahan mo na, or na-hit mo na maging relevant doon sa target audience na kinakausap mo, no? So if you have pages, normally your Facebook pages will tell more about the kind of traffic that you have on your website, no? So for example, by the way, no, if you notice, yung site na pinakita ko kanina, hindi ko pala siya na-enter. So sana mag-load siya na maayos. So mapansin nyo, yung site na niload natin kanina, meron siyang chat. So itong chat box na to, kapag finilapan mo yan, dito yan pupunta. No? Yan, dyan sa messages na yan. I'm not so sure kung, okay. Yata yung nakipag-usap pa kanina. So, nandyan siya. So, pero typically, kung pero nakikipag-usap sa'yo, dyan siya pupunta. And then, of course, when you are inside your Google Analytics, your Facebook Analytics, ito yung mga nakikita mo. So, what people do on your website, ano yung view nila, no? Total page views sa Facebook page mo, how many people are liking your content, tumaas ba ang reach mo, tumaas ba engagement mo, among other things. And then, pwede mo makita yung performance ng bawat isang post na pinapublish mo. Now, normally, yung audience, iba-iba ang response pagdating sa content na maaring meron ka sa site mo. Some can be more engaging and some can be less engaging. Lalo na kung medyo nare-repeat mo na yung content mo in other places. But nevertheless, punta tayo sa isa na meron tayong promotion para meron tayong makitang ads. Hold on, Although I think kakasimula pa lang yata nung ads namin. Yan. So makikita ka ng makikita mo yung response time mo for your messages. Makikita mo rin yung performance ng ads mo. Okay? Kakasimula pa lang yan, kaya mababa pa lang yung post. And then makikita mo rin kung ano yung campaign na ano yung post na mas may reach ka. No? Then you can know more about your promotions, the behavior of likes on your page. Usually, yung mga likes, over time, bumababa yan. Kasi, naalala nyo, nag-implement si Facebook ng rule yun sa mga inactive na accounts. Parang di-deactivate niya. So, kung meron ka mga nag-like before na hindi na sila active, pwede na deactivate sila. So, lahat ng mga nilike nila, parang deactivated din. And then, of course, pwede mo ma-monitor yung trend. Now, depending on your content can elicit likes or it can also elicit dislike, no? Lalo na kung feeling niya hindi na relevant yung sinishare mo sa kanya. You can also see the reach of your content. Now, usually kapag may ads ka, makikita mo rin kung ano yung reach ng paid content mo sa organic content mo. You can also see reactions, no? But, at the end of the day, I think it is very important na clear bakit ka ba nagpo-post sa social media. If you're posting content on social media because you want to get sales or you want to get leads, all of these are helpful, no? Parang nice to look at siya. Pero kapag hindi siya nagko-convert sa leads, no? Sa response na gusto mo, pwede hindi siya maging ganun ka relevant for you. So, kaya kailangan itatain mo rin siya kung ano yung what data would matter to you. So hindi basta marami dapat tumingin, no? So parang hindi 'yun ang parang pinaka benchmark natin, no? So we have a question. Now may tanong, how come there are pages with thousands of page likes but the reach is small? What affects the reach of a post? Kasi siguro kung kasi ang nangyayari kasi kay Facebook, 'di ba? Yun yung sinasabi nga na lumabas sa mga news na talagang ni-limit lang nila yung number of people that can see your post, no? Yun ang parang dilemma ng mga page owners. Parang automatic limited lang yung nakakakita ng mga post nila. Hindi talaga ganun karami yung nakakakita ng post. Now, usually ang nagpapa-increase ng number of views ay kapag may nagla-like ng content, pwedeng tumaas ang views niya. Pero pwede rin kasi na yung user o yung mga people na nag-like ng page mo, may mga niya-like pa ng mga bagong pages. So as a result, pwedeng mas priority nilang nakikita yung mga pages na bago nilang niya-like o bago nilang ini-interact with. Therefore, kapag medyo luma na yung page mo o ikaw yung mga na-create na pages pa mga 5 years ago, 6 years ago, hindi ka na ganun, yung level of engagement mo with your audience is not as high as it used to be anymore because the more recent pages are most likely to be gaining more interaction. At least that's my observation. Kasi halimbawa ito, kita mo, di ba? Of course, yung mga content ko, kadalasan pinopost ko rin to sa timeline ko. Kaya hindi na to bago pagdating sa page ko. Although may mga pinost din ako mga na for the page only. Yeah, 155, may mga makikita ka na 200. So, minsan, may mga post pa rin na umaabot siya ng 500. So, lahat ng factors will come in together. Yung caption, yung how the post was made, kung may nag-like sa kanya, anong oras, no? So, lahat yon will come in together at may impact siya pagdating sa pagdating sa post. Now, as I said earlier, minsan hindi rin naman porket bago yung maliit yung page mo, mababa na ang likes mo. Like for example, itong digital marketing for tourism industry, ang likes lang niya ay nasa 227 likes. Pero may mga makikita kang post like, ay, I'm looking at the wrong, gamit tayo ng ibang, I think dapat dito ko yata siya tingnan. Hold on para makakita tayo ng analytics. Hindi pa rin dyan. Sandali. Ito, ang hirap po maraming... Ay. Yan. Okay. So ito, gaya na sinabi ko kanina, ang number of likes lang niya ay nasa 227 likes. Of course ngayon, out of the 227, 226 ang naka-follow. I think yung may mga bago kasing mga settings na nagawa na enjoy ng mga new pages na hindi necessarily na enjoy ng mga old pages. Like halimbawa, gaya ngayon, parang may follow na siya, no? Dati yung mga old walang ganyan eh. So hindi mo tuloy alam kung auto-follow ba siya o hindi or talagang kailangan i-define niya na followed niya. So medyo iba yung settings dun sa mga naunang pages. So anyway, gaya nito, nag-post ako ng picture. Now, if you look at the picture, meron lang siya isang share. Pero before I share this photo, actually, itong picture na to ay meron na siyang 500 na reach. Pero when you look at the photo, actually, yung photo na yan, wala kang makitang like. No like at all. Pero mapapansin mo na yung photo na yan, kahit na walang like at all, meron siyang 500 na reach. Tapos nung shinare ko siya, nag-increase siya to 612. So, meron din yata akong isa pang nilagay si digital marketing for the real estate. I think ito yata may like eh. Tingnan natin Ito, wala rin siyang like. Pero pag nakita mo siya rito, meron siyang 500 na reach. So, although before ko siya shinare, I think nasa 400 yata siya or nasa 300. Kaya pwede mong sabihin din na some people are saying na mas effective pa rin ng pictures kasi mas marami nagla-like sa kanya. Pero tingin ko hindi. I think it really depends on the page. Like for example, like me, I get to speak in a lot of events. So, alam niyo, kung tutuusin, kung ipopost ko talaga lahat ng mga di ba uso sa mga speakers, we post our pictures, na nagsasalita kami, tapos we also share yung certificate na nakukuha namin. Pag binigyan kami ng swag, sinishare din namin yon. Nagpapapicture pa kami sa crowd, nagpapapicture pa kami sa invitation committee o sa inviting committee. Alam niyo, ginagawa ko lahat yon before. Dati, pag nagpo-post ako ng ganon, maganda ang response sa kanya. Pero pag tagal-tagal, bumababa rin siya. Kasi ano na siya normal na, no? And there was a time, talagang medyo madami, no? So, may time na parang 3 to 4 times a week may engagement ka. Pag ganun ang laman ng wall mo, parang nakakaya din. Kaya nga ako tutusin, matagal na ako hindi nagpo-post ng pictures. Nag-post lang ako ulit for this one kasi parang pang roadshow kasi siya. So, kaya parang ang importante is really more of a combination of education content. Kaya yan, we announce free webinars, we announce articles, and then from time to time, we promote decision content. So, what matters more is conversion. Ilan yung pumapasok sa database, ilan yung uma-attend, ilan yung pumapasok sa mailing list on a topic, and then ilan yung nag-sign up sa program. Tapos ilan yung mga decision makers who contact me for projects, among other things, and engage me on projects. So parang doon na ako mas nakafocus, more than just surface metrics minsan kung tawagin ko siya, no? So let's continue our discussion. Naku, lumagpas na tayo ng 7:00. Alright. Meron bang... Okay, John Rick, I'm going to unmute your microphone so you can ask your question. Hi, John Rick. John Rick? Okay, mukhang na-press lang ni John Rick yung hand button by accident. So, mute muna natin siya. Neil? Okay, Neil, I'm going to unmute your microphone. Hi, Neil.
Hi, hello, Ma'am Janet. Good evening.
Yes, go ahead.
Uh, with the likes also, can you teach us also what will it affect like the timing or the time, the date you posted your page? Because I noticed if I post like 8 p.m. or something like that, so there's a different. It will have more likes like in the afternoon or after lunch. So can you give us like insights? What specific time or dates should we publish our page or our
Okay.
yep, our promotions? Yeah.
All right, thank you, Neil, for the question. Actually, parang best practices, what most people tell us is that mag-post daw tayo ng alas 8, alas 12, alas 4, at alas 8 ng gabi. Pero ang problem is that everyone is following that rule. So, as a result, ang dami tuloy nagpo-post ng ganong oras. So, pwede kang ma-drown out din. So, what I would suggest is that you be flexible and experiment on your time. And then, of course, look at your target audience. If your target audience, maybe like in this case, real estate professionals or tourism professionals, maybe they have more time to look at updates in the evening. Therefore, posting content in the evening is more effective for them dahil mas mataas ang interaction nila rather than posting content in the morning na pwedeng mas mababa ang interaction nila. Pero minsan, pero we have to remember that time is one of the many parameters. Hindi lang talaga time. At the end of the day, it's a matter of whether that content will make more sense for them. For example, if I talk about influencer blogging, like blogging can be a powerful tool to communicate your ideas and encourage readers to take action. Yes, that's true. But maybe for the real estate professional, pwedeng hindi siya makarelate doon, no? Maybe they know it, pero maybe it's a vague idea. And maybe if they have not liked any content about blogging to begin with or influencer marketing to begin with, this content may not appear to them at all because it doesn't resonate with any of the content that they have liked in the past. So, kaya ano siya, experimental siya. And sometimes, minsan you just really have to push it. Like, if you're trying to create awareness, you're trying to push ideas, you want to educate your market, minsan magpupush ka talaga. So, like for example, kung titingnan nyo tong digital marketing for the real estate industry, yung dahil on and off to, no, pa may activity lang ako talaga, dun siya nagiging active. So, may mga content na biglang makaka 300 na reach, pero most of the time, parang dahil nga konti lang naman ng likes niya, which is 612, konti lang talaga ang reach niya. Pero in fairness, like yung nangyari sa Iloilo event, kahit pa paano maganda yung naging turnout niya. Kasi usually yung mga provincial events, like yung mga digital marketing for real estate, whenever we go to the province, masaya na kami kung makaka-attend kami, no? Kasi parang how do you call that? Unang-una pricey yung seminar 2,500. For provincial locations, learning one day digital marketing and having to pay 2,500 for it, it might be a pricey investment for some. Kasi for most people, they would only attend kung libre lang siya. But of course, for this kind of training, ang hinahabol namin hindi yung participant na puro libre lang ang hinahanap. Kasi iba yung profile ng participant na puro libre ang hinahanap. Iba yung profile ng participant na talagang willing to make an investment, no? At iba rin yung profile ng participant kapag yung company niya ang nagpapadala sa kanya. So, like in this case, sa training na to, actually, majority of the participants came from one company. Parang yung company nila nagpadala sa kanila. So, the point there is, um, it's not just about what time you post it, how many people saw it, who saw it, no? At kung yung nakakitang bang yon is enough na kahit isa lang siya, na makakita, pero siya yung may capability to make a decision para yung mga taong gusto niya mag-participate, siya yung talaga nakakapag-decide na, oh, papupuntahin ko sila dyan, no? Kaya maraming factors, Neil. So, kaya over time, um, you will, kaya nga ako, mas nagsasubscribe ako dun sa idea ng buyer's journey. The moment you subscribe to the buyer's journey, yung what a buyer goes through in the stage of awareness, consideration, and decision. The metrics, yung mga numbers, hindi ka na, parang, although importante siya, parang, yeah, it's there, pero mas nakafocus ka dun sa what buyer thinks, and you start focusing more on publishing content that resonates with the buyer. So, kahit na konti lang yung makaresonate doon, pero alam mo, yung buyer na yon dahil ma-hit mo siya, pwedeng siya yung decision maker na hinahabol mo. No? I'm sorry for the long answer, pero I hope you got my point, no? Okay. And then, next na question kay Jackie. Google Analytics is not showing the data, pero sa WordPress Google Analytics meron. Saan po kaya banda ang mali sa settings? Jackie, I'm not so sure kung ano ang mali sa settings mo. Dalawa lang yan. Siguro ang first question, Jackie, is ikaw ba ang nag-setup ng Google Analytics sa WordPress mo? Kung ikaw ang nag-setup ng Google Analytics sa WordPress mo, then kailangan mo lang mag-log on dun sa Google Analytics account mo using the email address that you use to set up your Google Analytics. And then, pag na-login mo na siya, then you should be able to start viewing the reports already. Now, unless meron pang ginagawang email verification, pero supposedly wala no? So, pwede natin siguro tignan mamaya. After the whole discussion, if you can stay on, just log into your Google Analytics already and log into your WordPress. Show me where your Google Analytics is. Tignan natin siya mamaya, no? I'll give you presenter rights so you can show me your screen. John Rick, are you going to ask your question pa rin ba? I'm going to try unmuting you now. Hold on, Saan si John Rick? John Rick. Mukhang na-offline na si John Rick sa atin. Okay, so sige, so let's continue our discussion. Yung nga lang, lumagpas na tayo ng alas 7, kaya siguro ano yun na lang natin. So siguro gusto ko lang i-emphasize din yung tinatawag nating e-commerce sales tracking. So e-commerce sales tracking matters kasi kapag online store ka, malaking bagay yung malaman mo kung kung yung campaign mo ba nagre-result to a sale. May bili ba, no? May nagki-click ba, no? Tapos dun sa mga nag-click na yon, in the next 30 days, how many of them will convert and will become a buyer on your website, no? So that's the idea there, why you want to do tagging. So you want to do tagging, you want to find out what is the source of the sale. You want to be able to get what campaign drives more, no? At what do you get? Increase actual sales, increase traffic, or a combination of all of them. So you want to be able to find that out. So siguro for simple illustration, dahil limited lang yung time natin sa webinar natin, gagamit tayo ng Google URL tracking. So si Google, meron siyang tinatawag na campaign URL builder. So you can go here para makita niyo siya. Now, ang gagawin natin, gagawa tayo ng isang, I hope you don't mind, gagawa tayo ng hypothetical na sale, no? At gusto ko mag-participate kayo para ma-complete natin tong hypothetical na sale na scenario natin. So, mapansin nyo, meron akong pinost na product. Itong product na pinost ko ay yung I'm an e-commerce entrepreneur shirt. So, ang gagawin ko, gagawa ako ng campaign. So, kaya ako gagawa ng campaign kasi gusto kong malaman, gusto kong matrace kung saan galing yung aking sale, no? So, ito siya. So, lalagay ko siya sa URL builder. And then, lalagyan ko siya ng campaign source. So, nilagay ko webinar. So, webinar 10. And then, campaign name, shirt. at webinar 10. Okay? And then, campaign medium, so sabihin na lang natin, webinar na lang muna, no? So, ayan na, nagkaroon na siya ng shortcut na URL link, no? So, convert URL to short link, ito na yung link. So, ang gagawin ko, I will point you here. Ang gusto ko sana, gumawa kayo ng test transaction. So, ano ibig sabihin pag gumawa kayo ng test transaction? Pagpunta nyo dyan sa website, I'd like you to make a purchase. Pero hindi naman totohanan yung purchase natin, no? Although yung shirt na yan ay for sale, pero hindi tayo magtotohanan na purchase. So gusto ko i-try nyo mag-add to cart, bumili kayo ng product, tapos ipapakita ko sa inyo kung paano siya mag-kick in sa Google Analytics, no? Paano matatrace na dyan galing yung sale, no? Ang payments kasi nga pwede siyang PayPal, pwede siyang bank deposit. Pero since trial lang tayo ngayon, hindi naman kayo magpa-purchase, gusto lang natin gawin to for the sake of reporting at makita nyo how it works. So, can you do a purchase? Click nyo yung add to cart, as if bibili kayo talaga, piliin nyo bank deposit, tapos complete it, no? Let me know when done, tapos titingnan natin kung ano magiging itsura niya sa loob ng analytics. So, while waiting, pupunta tayo ngayon sa ating real-time traffic sa ating website. Ito na tayo sa ating real-time report. Tingnan natin kung sino nasa website ngayon. So, there are 4 of you on the website now. Baka yung isa dyan ako. So, ayan na, may nag-check out na, no? So, may 3 nag-check out, nag-try mag-purchase. So, please make a purchase. Hindi naman totohanan yung pag-purchase nyo. Pero kung gusto nyo totohanan, pwede rin. Pero hindi naman kailangan, no? We're just doing this for the sake of learning, okay? So, try nyo mag-purchase. Let me know when done para makita natin kung paano siya magre-reflect sa analytics. So, lahat kayo, kinlik niyo yung shortcut. So, supposedly, ngayon nakikita natin yung location ng mga visitors natin, saan galing yung traffic. Na mapapansin nyo, dun sa report ng traffic, ang nakalagay dito ay organic, and then merong webinar. Kaya webinar yan kasi naalala nyo, nung sinetup ko yung campaign, ang nilagay kong campaign medium ay webinar, tapos ang ginawa kong campaign name ay webinar 10. Kaya ganyan siya, webinar 10. Kasi yun ang ginawa kong setting kanina, no? So yan na. So kahit paano may nakikita na tayong information, nakikita natin yung behavior ng user, kung ano ang ginagawa niya right now. Okay. And then, may events ba? Conversion. Okay, mukhang wala pang conversion info. Kasi di pa kayo tapos mag-purchase eh, no? So, hinihintay natin sabihin na done na kayo. Okay, so done na si Janrick, done na rin si Cheryl. Okay, so kung done na, dapat magkakaroon ako ng sales report. Okay, so punta tayo sa ating dashboard para makita natin kung pumasok na yung mga orders. So, pumasok na ang order ni si John Rick, pumasok na yung order. Pumasok din ang order ni Jackie, ni Cheryl. Pumasok din ang order ni Daisy. Ayan, puro bank deposit sila. Si Test pumasok din. Pero syempre, from a real life, hindi ignoring ko si Test kasi wala naman talagang ganyang email address, no? So, meron tayong pumasok na order. So, So, ang mangyayari dyan, pag pumunta tayo ngayon sa Google Analytics natin, pwede natin ngayon tignan yung ating acquisition and overview. So, mapansin nyo, dahil sa nandiyan kayo ngayon at nag-try kayo mag-purchase, may bigla siyang spike ngayon na 9 session. At yung traffic natin ay galing sa other. Kasi yung ginagamit natin ay webinar. Kaya ganyan siya, no? And then, pag tingnan natin yung channels, ayan na siya, no? Meron na siyang, kaya lang wala pang nagre-reflect na revenue. So, siguro, i-refresh natin, tingnan natin kung magre-reflect na yung revenue. Okay, so hindi pa nagre-reflect. Kasi dapat mamaya, may makikita na tayong amount dito. No? So, yun ang idea. Dapat dito, mamaya as we update, dapat meron ng lalabas na amount dito. Okay? So, tingnan natin si source. Oh my gosh. Ano nangyari? Okay. So, si source, yan, nakita rin natin. Si referral. Okay. Saan sila galing? Campaign. All campaigns. Yan. So, si short webinar 10, nandito na siya. Yung nga lang, hindi pa nagre-reflect yung amount niya. Okay. Hindi pa nagre-reflect eh. So, dapat mamaya, magre-reflect na yan. Or maybe I have to approve it. No? Pero, hindi pa siya lumalabas. Hold on. Okay, I'm not so sure bakit hindi pa siya lumalabas, pero dapat um maya-maya dapat lumabas na siya, no? So, hintayin lang natin saglit. Pero usually, kapag may transactions, usually they appear na, no? So, I'm not so sure kung bakit hindi pa siya nag-appear. Although kasi kanina, nung kinonfigure ko yung Google Analytics, parang nawala yung e-commerce, di ba? If you remember do sa settings, I have to re-enable it again. I'm not so sure kung yun ang naka-effect sa kanya, no? Medyo nagtataka nga ako kung bakit siya na-off kasi supposedly hindi siya naka-off dahil ginagamit namin siya kapag may training at doon namin dine-demonstrate yung campaign, no? Alright. Shirt. Okay. So, hintayin lang natin. So, anyway, supposedly yung output nung ginawa ko dapat na demo, dapat maglabas yan yung amount. So, siguro ang gagawin ko, kapag ni-write up ko na lang siya, ipapakita ko yung screenshot nung amount para mag-appear siya sa ating analytics support. I'm not so sure kung bakit hindi siya lumalabas dito ngayon. Pero in the past, whenever we do this exercise, usually napapalabas naman natin siya. Pero parang webinar siya yung aking analytics ngayon for some reason. No? Sige, tingnan lang natin mamaya kung bakit hindi siya nagre-reflect. Alright, so are there any more questions at this time before we wrap up our webinar session for tonight? Okay, Susie, yung login, si ano siya, si campaign URL. You can check out campaign URL builder. And then, kung gagamit ka ng tracking, ang gagawin mo lang sa Google Analytics mo, sa WooCommerce settings, gumamit ka lang ng Enhance e-commerce for Google Analytics. Okay? So, yun ang kailangan, no? All right. So, let's start now with our consultation. So, let's start now with our consultation, na. Okay, thank you.